Welcome to the Two Girls and Plants podcast with your hosts, Shannon Summers and Adrienne Craig. This is a casual, fun show to talk about all things health, whole foods plant-based, and making nourishing lifestyle changes. Your hosts will explore a variety of benefits that can be found with plants, both inside and out. Shannon and Adrienne will teach you how to advocate for your health with courage, confidence, and a little laughter. You'll leave empowered with natural and sustainable options to set you up for success in discovering your bio-individuality. The Two Girls and Plants podcast starts now.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Two Girls and Plants. I'm Adrienne Craig, and this is my dear friend and co-host, Shannon Summers. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Doing great. Wanted to remind everyone, our passion is for helping people transform their health and their lives in ways that are natural, easy, and sustainable. So we're really here to help you nourish your life inside and out. Today, we're going to explore the living foods movement with our special guest, who I'm going to introduce shortly. We're super excited to have him here with us today. And I want to just talk about raw foods. So I think in the past, raw foods has had scared people or had, kind of a biased, perception of it in the past, but it's really not considered a radical concept anymore. It's become quite mainstream, and it's really a simple, common sense approach for living healthy, having energy, and just all around holistic care. More and more people are beginning to recognize that physiologically, our health really depends on mind, body, and spirit, which are all interconnected, being aligned and working together so that we can perform optimally in our lives. And physicians and health experts who have actually taken on the additional education of nutrition unanimously recognize the power of plants over pills. So that's one of the main reasons we want to keep talking about nutrition and easy ways to bring more nutrition into your life. Incorporating raw foods into your life can be a very delicious and empowering way to do so. Raw foods are considered living foods if they are maintained at a temperature below 105 degrees. Their healing properties are really so powerful because their natural water content, enzymes, and nutrients are retained throughout preparation. There's no real processing involved, and so they're kept in almost their state coming right out of the ground or right off the plant. With us today, we're excited to have Matt Amsden. Matt Amsden is a world-renowned raw food chef. He is a best-selling author of the cookbook Rawvolution, Gourmet Living Food Cuisine. He also is an award-winning author of a second cookbook called The Rawvolution Continues. Matt is really a pioneer in the natural food and raw food space. He started the first raw food delivery service throughout the United States, which I have had the pleasure of trying multiple times now. And he's also had two restaurants by the same name, one in Los Angeles, one in New York. So he's done just about every format of raw foods you could think of, which is pretty amazing. And in addition to all that, Matt, you're also a father of identical twin sons, Cochise and Guthrie, right?
That's right. Yes, exactly right.
All right. Well, we are really thrilled to have you here. You've proven that you know how to make this, a very fun, freeing, and flavorful adventure. So if you want, we'd like to hear you share your story of how you got into raw foods to begin with.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. Nice to be here. I was eating, in a way that was not at all like the way I am now. eating fast food and, really terrible tons of processed food when I was younger. This was in the late 90s. And I just heard a radio interview with a gentleman called David Wolf, who was a pioneer on getting a lot of this information out, the raw food movement. And I was just incredibly inspired and intrigued. So I ordered the book that he had out at the time and read that cover to cover in a couple days, and just really was inspired to change my lifestyle wholesale after reading what he had to say. And so yeah, that was in the late 90s, and I went I kind of went all in and ate raw foods exclusively for a long time. And yeah, it just really changed my life from that point. And just initially began just eating that way myself. And I was living in Ontario, Canada at the time, where it was somewhat more difficult. So I kind of always aspired to be somewhere warmer, where more things were going on. So I soon after, in 2000, got the opportunity to come out here to Los Angeles, which I did. And then, there was a lot more going on here in terms of people being interested in it, but there was still not much infrastructure, not much support for people who were wanting to do it. So I started a couple like weekly meals, in terms of like where people could come, the public could come and eat a raw food meal at a place where we hosted those meals. And then little by little just started adding to that. Went from the the public meals to feeling like, okay, well, people want to have this in their homes more often. So we started the meal delivery service just here in Los Angeles, and then eventually expanded nationwide. And as I collected recipes and created recipes, started putting together my books, and then developed into a restaurant, as the years went on. So sort of that's the broad strokes of it.
That's a lot. What is one bit of advice you give to somebody wanting to go raw?
Well, I would say not to be too caught up in doing it perfect, which is, I think, good advice for anything. Just start where you're at, and it's not really about a goal of like getting to to where you're exclusively and perfectly eating only raw foods or whatever it is. Just try to add more each day and do better each day, and then that makes it easier too, because it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that the more you do it, the better you tend to feel. And then it's not so, you're not having to stick with it out of like some kind of sense of, it doesn't take as much discipline when it simply feels good. You're just wanting to keep with it because it works.
One of the things I love in reading from your cookbook and your stories is, not only do you look at food from a nutritional perspective, you really look at it from a spiritual perspective as well. And so you have incorporated that into your spiritual life as well. How did your raw food journey impact your spiritual journey as well?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, the vibration of the food is sort of more in line with, we're all spiritual people. I think I really like that quote, that we're not human beings having a spiritual experience, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And I really, I've never heard anything that's more apt in my belief. So it's not as if doing one thing or the other is, makes you a spiritual person. But I think eating cleaner, cleaner foods and more plant-based foods lets you access your spirituality in it, or at least it did for me. I think when you're eating really heavy processed foods, it sort of, dulls all of your senses, including your spiritual senses. And so, when you start to get cleaner, it feels like it creates you to be more of a receptive vessel, so to speak.
Oh, I like that.
And and it's not unusual. I think most of the spiritual teachers in any discipline have had at least some kind of recommendations as to what's most appropriate for that sort of path. And it's not really so much about rules as just what's going to get you there, right? So it's not as if it's I think really it's just that kind of advice tends to be a great tool for if you want to, if you're training for the Olympics, you're not going to get kicked out of the Olympics for eating donuts, but you're also not likely to get there if you're doing that, right? I mean, you have to eat the appropriate things for what your goals are.
True. One thing that people always mention, of course, is a huge one, is protein. Not being a meat eater, how can we possibly get enough protein? I've also heard people talk about not feeling good, and then I guess kind of feeling drained after they do it for a little bit, whether it be plant-based or raw. So any advice on that for anyone trying to do that has maybe tried that and then kind of backed off?
Yeah, I mean, I can really only advise sort of from my I'm not a doctor, and some of the things that we hear, it does seem like the recommendations for protein are a little more than is strictly necessary. I don't know that we need a huge amount of protein. But having said that, there is protein in raw foods and greens, especially, and in other foods. And, it varies from person to person, but, I definitely think there's a way to do it healthfully. And we've seen now people on plant-based diets for long enough that I don't think it's too much of a mystery anymore. Maybe in the early days we could say, well, there's not enough evidence to know if people can really sustain this long term, but now there's plenty of people who've been successful and healthy with this for decades and decades. And as you said in the beginning, doctors and science are realizing that, and it's not I don't think anymore at the point where you're saying, well, yeah, I suppose you can be healthy doing this, and it's almost flipping to where it's like, well, if you're wanting to be healthy, this is the plant-based is not just okay, it's maybe your best and only option.
Yeah, I love that things are moving in that direction.
Yeah,
so much out there.
It is encouraging. It's been a while. It's frustrating for those of us who've been doing it for a long time. I would have imagined. Sometimes I feel like, wow, 20 years ago, I imagined we might be farther along than we were now. But it isn't. It is. But it has changed a lot at the same time. Things have changed a lot.
In your work with people, because you've interacted in a lot of different ways. You've taught preparation of raw meals. You've owned restaurants, so you've interacted with a lot of different customers, I'm sure, from all over. What, if anything, has been the biggest obstacle you've heard from people in incorporating more raw or whole foods into their diet, their meal, their lifestyle, and then sticking with it?
Well, it's a few things. I think one is just the perception that has to be an all or nothing proposition. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always trying to remind people about that you can receive a lot of the benefits. You can receive as much out of it as you put into it. So, and if it's difficult for whatever reason to do it 100%, then, like I said before, just incorporate it to the degree that you can. and, you know, all of our systems are set up for something else. I mean, our kitchens have stoves and microwaves, and, you know, grocery stores have what they have and restaurants have what they have. So it is daunting somewhat to go in a whole different, in a whole different direction. And people have attachments and cravings for, for certain comfort foods that they've been very used to, and that's difficult to get past. But again, if you're not committed, if you're not feeling like you're a failure if you do anything less than 100%, then, then it's okay. So yeah, I mean, people either don't know what to buy or how to do it. And, that was the main thing I heard initially, which then prompted me to, start making it for people. Because that's something I can do and no one was doing. And so we try to make it easy by, taking all the shopping and planning and preparation out of it, and just, getting it right into people's hands.
Yeah. So let's talk about your cookbooks. They're beautiful. Let's talk some about food.
Sure.
Yeah. Any favorites that you have? Any standouts?
Well, I really, I think a favorite of mine and a favorite of a lot of people is, well, let's see. Yeah, I mean, we make a lot of the things in the meal delivery service that are in the books, not everything. But I don't know, some of the personal favorites are some of the things that are somewhat more simple, surprisingly. Because, with raw food, there sometimes are dishes that require, dehydration and a lot of pre-planning, and those are fun. But I think even just some things that just incorporate simple fruits and vegetables and a simple dressing can be really great. Like the ones we were talking about, the cucumber dill salad earlier, and that's, I don't even know if that's really my creation. I mean, I think there's probably people who have done cucumbers and dill and onions with oil and vinegar before. But, those kind of classic standard things are really great. And, I have a newer recipe. I don't think that's in any of the books actually, but we serve in the box Lebanese salad that I just had for lunch yesterday. Heirloom tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, and, really just simple ingredients, but we try to combine them in a flavorful way. And yeah, those simple foods can be so satisfying and so delicious. And that I think that's always been my philosophy in terms of creating recipes is there's a big cheat that's available, which is to just start with the best ingredients. And when you're using heirloom tomatoes, you're just already that much closer to having something delicious, because I mean, I didn't create the tomato. I just combined, the tomato with some things that help it, bring out its flavors and good combinations and things like that.
Definitely. So I know Adrienne was talking about farming. You had some questions for him about.
Yeah. So I just was wondering, Matt, now, do you grow any of your own food that you use either personally or for the business, or is it all sourced from organic farms?
Yeah, the latter. It'd be fun to grow some things, and I've toyed with the idea of like maybe growing some herbs, but yeah, I think we're busy enough that we, farming takes a lot, and growing anything sort of takes a lot, and I haven't been able to incorporate that, but yeah, and the people that we buy it from are much better at it than we are too. So we're able, here in Southern California, we're able to get, we have access to some really incredible farms that are growing some of the best stuff in the country or in the world. So yeah, I trust them. We get these amazing fresh herbs and heirloom tomatoes, as I mentioned, and here we, most of the time throughout the year we can get almost everything. So it's it's better for us to just get it from the pros, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about, do you want to talk about the box for a minute? It's like a weekly box that you can get.
Yeah. It's everything that we serve is organic and vegan and raw. And we ship every week a menu of 12 different items, and the menu changes every week. And then each week you receive a couple of fresh pressed juices, 4 entrees, 4 sides, and a couple desserts. And we deliver that here in Los Angeles, as I said, and ship it nationwide.
That is so good. I had somebody reach out on Instagram after I posted about your second cookbook. Mm-hmm. And she said that she's tried going vegan before and being raw, and she was going to maybe venture to, look into it again. And I mentioned your box to try it out, because it's a great way to see that it has great flavor. You're not giving up flavor, and you're not eating just, sitting eating an apple for lunch while everybody else is eating something great. So
yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up, because sometimes I forget that, when you describe what raw food is and you say, well, it's simply fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, herbs and spices for the most part. Then people find out, okay, well, you have a meal service for this. And then I think they're afraid that they're going to get, a bunch of packages of green salads and it's very much not like that. I mean, we really, we create lasagnas and sandwiches and, it's a lot more than just salad or crudité. And it's hard to describe, but try to put some photos on the website. And if you've seen the books, you can see all the different things that we can create with these simple and humble ingredients and make them pretty fun and gourmet.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I just want to mention, so I can personally provide testimony for Matt. I bought another one of his boxes for this week. I've been eating it. I had your Lebanese salad this week. It was wonderful. And yesterday I had a hectic day. I was running around, and I was so thankful to be able to go in the fridge, unpackage the leafy greens, throw it on a plate, and just start eating, and not have to worry about what am I going to make when I'm already rushing around. So thank you for that.
Yeah, well, thank you both. I appreciate your support, and I'm glad it works for you. And yeah, it really is pretty simple. I mean, it's just, as you said, all you have to do is take it out of the fridge and open the package, and you have a healthy, organic, completely plant-based living food meal.
Yeah. And so I just want to let people know, when you watch the replay, you can see images of Matt's cookbooks, so you know what they're called, where to get them. You can also see a picture of where I incorporated a couple of Matt's recipes into my Thanksgiving meal for 2020. Couldn't see my family, but I probably had the most nourishing Thanksgiving meal of my life with Matt's apple tart, which I love. It's fabulous. And I also tried your herb stuffing for my Thanksgiving dinner. So those were wonderful.
That's great. That's so fun.
We only have a couple minutes left. So Matt, I want to give you the opportunity to just let people know how they can reach out. And I believe you have a giveaway or offering a discount on one of your raw boxes.
Yeah, you might have to remind me what we decided, but if people want to check it out, they can find us on Instagram at Rawvolution, RAWVOLUTION, and rawvolution.com is the website for the service. We can read about the upcoming week's menu and order right there on the website.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I believe the offer is $10 off your first box. So I highly recommend that you check it out. I've loved what I've gotten every time I've received a box so far. So
that's great. It's been
a wonderful experience.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, we are about to go into our live audience experience where we can dig deeper with our listeners, interact. You can ask any questions you have. get on the spot coaching. You can ask Matt anything you'd like about his food, his cookbooks. So all you have to do is select the Join Now button at the end. And we want to thank you, as always, for joining us. You can catch us in the replay on YouTube or on any of your favorite podcast stations. And we are here every second and fourth Friday of the month at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. We will see you on the other side.
Thank you for joining Shannon and Adrienne on the Two Girls and Plants podcast, where you're finding nourishment inside and out. You're invited to continue finding empowerment with natural and sustainable options every second and fourth Friday of the month at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern on transformationtalkradio.com. To learn more or find out how to work with Shannon and Adrienne, visit twogirlsandplants.com.